Hello and welcome to It's About Youth. I'm Fana Sheikh and today is a very special episode because we are in Nottingham University, Malaysia for the STEAM Carnival happening 22nd to 24th April. Now, there's been a growing push to integrate concepts and practices of the arts to deepen one's understanding of scientific concepts to further adapt to the ever-changing job landscape. Hence, STEAM was born. And here to talk more on this is Dr. Jason Pendiawood, Dean of Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Dr. Marina Ng, Associate Professor, Faculty of Science and Engineering, as well Gani Teng, Student of Computer Science. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We've seen what the STEAM Carnival was like. There were many exhibitors, student exhibitors showcasing their science project, arts, technology, mathematics project, all incorporated into arts. So we want to know more about the STEAM industry, pretty much. So let's start with Dr. Jason. How do we define STEAM and how important is it in today's educational as well as job landscape?
Thank you. I think the starting point is to say, what are the biggest questions, challenges, issues we're facing right now? Whether it's climate change, the advance of artificial intelligence, fundamental challenges to how we live our lives, how we work, what kind of careers we're going to go into. Now, traditionally, we tend to have thought of the responses to these in terms of disciplines.
Right.
So scientists do that, engineers do that, and so on. But what we've come to realise is that in order to really put forward solutions, in order to help our graduates to prepare for the world of the work, we need to draw on multidisciplinary perspectives. We need artists to help us communicate scientific ideas. We need social scientists to help us understand human behaviour, so that our science, our engineering approaches are much more effective, more impactful, and so on. And similarly, artists, social scientists need to draw on the incredible work that scientists and engineers do in order to influence their thinking.
Right. I think we are familiar with STEM concepts, but we rarely hear STEAM. And I'll be honest, this is the first time myself I'm hearing, STEAM being championed here in Malaysia. So I want to talk more about what it actually looks like. So is there an example of STEAM integration project that you've implemented or witnessed, Dr. Marina?
Yes. So in fact, in this STEAM Carnival, so we have one of our main highlights being the interactive Biodome. So I believe that will be a good showcase for the STEAM project. So it's an integration of technology with science, engineering, arts as well. So here we are addressing the main real-world challenge about educating our young about sustainability issues. And how do we do that? So we try to think out of the box and use plants as a way for them to interact with. And then in that interactive biodome today, so we had visitors coming in, and when they interact with a plant, they get to know about the medicinal value, the uses. So it's really a showcase of STEAM using technology, but to educate people about sustainability issues. So we work with a local school who did the research behind about the plants, about what is good to eat, for example, what is good to eat to be healthy. So they do the research, and while they do the coding, they are actually learning about plants. And then so we, so that we can measure what they not know, and then after doing the project, and then doing the coding as well as doing the research and thinking about how to present it in a static way.
Right.
So it's definitely STEAM with the arts in there.
Right.
And then so we'll wait to see. We've asked them about, before that, what did they know about the plants they eat, and now we are going in to ask them about what do they know now after being engaged in that project, and hopefully the visitors will have something to learn also.
Right. We have seen sort of exhibitors just now showcasing 3D printing. We have MDEC on board as well, looking at how to incorporate technology and arts. But I want to know from you, Yiteng, how has it been on the learning front, from the interest to investment into STEAM, not just within the university, but as a whole? Has it been beneficial in terms of your learning experience?
For me, like with STEAM, instead of just in front of the computer coding, looking at screen, I get to learn knowledge about the plants also, more than just technical stuff, like all the codes, everything. I get to learn a lot stuff. Like before this, we also had another project. I get to learn the heritage traits of Malacca also. Yeah, so with the A in STEAM education, I get to learn beyond what is taught in lectures.
If you don't mind explaining a bit further, you know, Marina, Jason, or even Yitang, how has it been integrated or incorporated in classrooms?
Well, let's start with a fundamental principle, and it was in what Yitang was just describing in her experience. We know that scientists, engineers, in fact every discipline requires some really core technical skills. So engineers have a particular technical training as part of their degree. But actually, if you look at World Index surveys on what are the key skills that employers are looking for now,
Right.
critical analysis, questioning, confidence, team building, analytical skills, things that are beyond that technical frame. So in the examples we just heard about, whether it's the incredible biodome and learning to talk to and listen to plants, right, to learn more about them, or if it's about learning about heritage and history and working with your teammates to better understand the impact, you're building those what have previously been called soft skills and what I would call fundamental skills that set you up for the sort of working world that you're going into.
If you don't mind, I would like to echo what Jason said. So the art of storytelling, that is the A in STEAM, has become very important. So when we are looking at future technologies, future emerging trends, we have big data being one of the key technologies, and then when we have so much data, we have to make sense of it. And so therefore the art of storytelling, the A in the arts in a STEAM becomes very important. How do you make sense of it, analyze it, and then present it to the public? It could be, again, in a visual way, using graphs, charts, and beautiful infographics, for example. So you need that essence of being able to communicate ideas, communicate in a way that would inform decision making.
I think we as journalists would understand that very well.
Right.
You know, being able to sort of break down things into more layman terms for it to be understandable, be digestible.
Yes,
all,
that's right.
And helping our students to do that by diversifying how we assess. So in the old days, universities would rely on classic model, exams, essays, as your two ways of testing everything. We want to now encourage students to develop their presentation skills, their storytelling skills, their visual communication skills, because ultimately that's what will get the message across.
Right. So that's part and parcel of STEM, STEAM, sorry. Right. See, I'm not...
Takes us all time, right?
It's always, there's always a confusion there. But we're talking about STEAM here, and it's somewhat a new concept, I would say. Something that I guess not many universities in Malaysia are keen to embrace it just yet. So I want to know, what are the challenges in STEAM education and how do we address them? Is it similar challenges to STEM as well? Let's start with Dr. Marina, you can start first.
Yes. So when we have arts in STEM to make STEAM, so we need a wider collaboration between, for example, we have two faculties in University of Nottingham Malaysia. We have science and engineering as well, arts and social sciences. And then we have to talk to each other. So it might be that the way we deliver it is usually, we are learning about maths and that's it. But it's about applying maths in a business school in a different way, with real world applications. So in order to deliver STEAM, we actually need an ecosystem, a multidisciplinary approach with stakeholders. Even better if we can work with clients or that has got real world challenges where different disciplines come together. Even with School of Computer Science, we have the students working with students from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences and tackling the problem together, and having the industry that is providing, that's needing the solution. So I believe Yitong can explain a little bit more.
As a student in a student
Yes, we have a module, like human-computer interaction, where we brought our students to the field. Maybe you can, share a little bit about, your observation about how they respond when they have that A in their learning experience?
For me, we went for a high school to teach them about also the similar project about the plants, and then they feedback that they are like quite amazed that, oh, STEM education, STEAM education, I can learn, like it's not boring, it's not just in classroom, it used to be very boring.
Yes.
Right now they know that, oh, actually with STEAM education they can go beyond that what they thought STEAM educations are, like just basic coding, normal boring classroom, but right now they get to do this and then they can expand their ideas onto more projects and with more different content.
What are some of the challenges, you know, within the student community when it comes to adapting to STEAM, especially probably, you know, STEM students adapting to, you know, learning arts, for example?
I think the challenge is getting the content for the A in the STEM. Like you need to get content from, like,
Working with experts.
I have the hardware, I have the technology, I have all the skills, but what should I do? Like who's going to use my thing? Who am I presenting to? So we need to think about this, and then
a bit more critical thinking, I would say.
Definitely.
What about you?
Well, Marina introduced that idea of us talking, and actually the very first step to any of this is about building relationships across disciplines. And actually, traditionally, all universities have kind of worked in silos. Whereas what we're encouraging our staff and our colleagues to do is, instead of start from your discipline, start from a question. So a question might be, what's the best way to tackle plastic waste? What's the best way to reduce microplastics in rivers in Malaysia? What's the best way to take the climate crisis on? These are the questions. If you then have the question, you realise you can draw on the different disciplines to answer that question. So it's not that we have a science curriculum and we say, well, we need some A, and you pop it in, right? What you do is you say, actually, in order to protect biodiversity and better understand our relationship with nature, we need a combination of arts and social science and sciences. And I guess it starts with relationships, Marina and Jason getting along, right? But then we have to work out a language, because Marina's training, experience, history, discipline is very different from Jason's. So we have to find a way that our languages can talk to each other. And then we find what's the best way of bringing that experience to life. And as the examples illustrate, it doesn't work only in the classroom. If you rely only on four walls and lecture theatres, you miss the magic. The magic comes from getting outside, working with communities, working with industry, and bringing industry into the classroom. And creating new and dynamic learning experiences.
Right. I think at the end of the day, it's all about finding a comprehensive solution, right? You want a comprehensive solution that is a cross-interdisciplinary approach, making sure that you tackle problems with, you know, with any capacity that you have, be it in arts or sciences. Right. I think I just want you to elaborate further with regards to, okay, Jason and Marina is already talking. What role do partnership now comes when it comes to government and industry players and also other universities? If we want to roll out STEAM, for example, across Malaysia, what role do they play in promoting the STEAM education, and how do we cultivate, you know, leveraging this partnership?
It's a great question, because actually everything we're doing here at University of Nottingham is underpinned by a commitment to partnerships. We don't think we can deliver the education and research we want to see that will change the world without working very closely with industry, with government, with NGOs, with local partners, national partners, international partners. So, because actually you can talk to industry and they'll tell you our big challenges are we need students who are rounded, who can communicate across different disciplines, who are creative, critical, engaged, can handle and analyse data. And they know the big trends that are coming. They know the impact of AI on communications. They know what climate change means for their particular processes in their organisations. So from their standpoint, they're desperate for universities to be much more open and engaged. From our standpoint, we need partnerships to deliver the kind of experience we know our students deserve and need, right?
Right. And Marina, if you don't mind elaborating a bit further, in making STEAM education more accessible to all groups, because we have the same challenges in STEM as well, right? When it comes to, you know, technical sciences, and there is a problem with, you know, minorities, women,
That's right.
people with disabilities, learning disabilities, for example. How do we make this more inclusive for all?
Yes. So I think in the past, traditionally, when we teach coding, for example, it's about sitting in front of the computer. But if we can imagine and introduce new approaches to teaching and learning, that would mean that if you're learning coding, but it is working with plants, you are actually programming the plants to say certain things, and then it becomes very, you know, you're not sitting in front of a computer, but you are integrating and immerse in the real context, and then you are also learning together, not just for the coding, but applying it into real world setting, addressing real world challenges. So I think the context of learning is not in front of a computer, but it's a real world context. And then the approach is not just sitting 24/7 in front of a computer, but it is about doing something and seeing it happen, applying it. You can see the results quite immediately. I think that is the sort of reward that the students get when they work in a multidisciplinary project-based learning. It's a different approach that we need when we do STEAM. And STEAM, therefore, it is so beautiful in the sense that it provides that opportunity to be engaged in so many other things, not just that one thing.
Yitheng, I want to ask you, you know, you are part of the STEAM Carnival Committee. We've had high school students coming here, looking at the exhibitors, looking at the Biodome, for example. We have all of that. How do you think STEAM can appeal to the younger generation?
I think we can, with, like, for example, the Biodome, we get to create an immersive environment for them. They get to touch, they get to listen, they get to feel the feeling. Like, it's not like blank classroom. They get to be in there and then feel it and then learn from there. I think it's a unique way to engage the younger kids.
When the high school students were immersing themselves, do you think there are more interests with the STEAM part of it, the A part of it?
Yeah, for example, like if you teach them, oh, this plant, they can do this, blah, 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 they might like don't want to listen, like I'm not interested in this at all. But if you make them touch and then they're like, oh, so this thing actually can do this, like they get to.
So a more immersive experience. Does it change the way, say for example, you learned before this, you know, without the arts incorporated in it? Does it change the way you yourself learn when, you know, you approach it with a STEAM landscape?
Yeah.
So before this, I have to learn book from laptop, boring text. Why am I looking at this? Right now I get to, so I get to like see everything, touch everything, like hands-on.
I think this would be a good way as well to introduce the sciences, right? I think a lot of younger people, even I myself when I was younger, don't like my science subjects. If you know, I'm more into the art stream, but if this was introduced back then, when I was a lot younger, probably, you know, my interests, I have more interest in science subjects that are incorporated into arts. So this is good for all, I think.
Well, I think it taps to that thing we have, that curiosity. The thing that brings scientists to science is often a curiosity.
That's right.
And the thing that brings artists to art is curiosity. And what STEAM enables you to do is bridge those two worlds with curiosity at the centre of it. I don't know what happened in previous lives that made us think that the only way scientists want to learn is through the textbook, and the only way artists want to learn is through the the canvas.
Yeah.
Because actually, most of us are much more complex and multifaceted. We have different aspects of our lives that we tap into to do different things. So
Yes.
scientists are great Instagram communicators, right? So let's give them the tools, let's make the aesthetics pleasing.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes to the question you were saying earlier about how does this open up the sciences and engineering? Well, as soon as you realise that there are other ways to learn, there are hands-on approaches, it's an invitation to get involved. It's really exciting.
I mean, there's always been a debate about sciences versus arts. Even when I was, studying, if you're art stream, you're not as good, or you're science stream, you're going to get a good job, for example. There's always been that debate when I was growing up, even now, probably to some point. But I think merging these two together would create a more wholesome approach towards studying and towards your job landscape later as well. So yeah. Right, Jason, how do you see, you've mentioned how, all of this have evolved from the get-go. How do you see the job landscape, especially here in Malaysia, changing and growing towards adapting to fit more into STEAM-related workforce?
Yeah, again, a great question. And what I'll say straight away is I can't project the future, right? I can't say what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Because the last 10 years have caught a lot of us by surprise.
Right.
What we do know, here are some fundamentals, right? The job landscape is changing beyond recognition. We have the ascendancy of things like I was saying earlier, AI is going to change how we live, how we work, and we don't yet know enough of what that will look like. I've mentioned climate change, I've mentioned all the sort of big challenges that are coming down the road. In that landscape, we need graduates who are quick, adaptive, resilient, able to think, able to take problems, look at them from different perspectives, work with complex, challenging data, have the courage, right, to be creative and think about different solutions and take them forward. And I think we do a disservice to our students if we say, we're still going to keep you in silos as you do that. So, because, I mean, I've got colleagues here who are doing some incredible research. They're doing life-changing research. Stuff that's addressing cancer in women, for example. They're developing apps that help women to identify diet choices that will help preventative work around that, also when they're in treatment. There's work around maternal health in some of Malaysia's most rural communities, where women are at a higher risk of poor outcomes or even, illness or death. And these tools are equipping them with the skills, but you needed computer scientists to build that. You needed programmers. You needed people to understand psychology, human behavior. You needed cultural theorists to understand how we communicate. You needed social scientists to talk to communities about how they use hand phones and what's the best way. And that is having a measurable and a tangible impact. So looping back to your question, I'm sorry to give you such a long answer, right? But our graduates, our future workforce is all dependent on that nimbleness, that ability to blend the technical skills that you were trained in with the attributes of being able to look at a problem and tackle a problem using all different sides of the STEAM conundrum.
Right. And the future is going to be disruptive, we know that. So equipping our graduates with these skills is absolutely pertinent. Marina, last question goes to you. What does it take to propel STEAM further? And are we prepared to move the needle and do what is required to better integrate STEAM education?
Yeah, I think creating awareness, it's very important. That's something that we are doing here in University of Nottingham Malaysia, and having STEAM Carnival to generate and nurture students' interests. And also we work very closely with schools. When before coming, they may not have STEM or STEAM as an agenda in their school, but having come here, and we could see, like having engaged with schools in the last few years, that it is something that they would want to invest in. In fact, one of the local schools which we are partnering in it's thinking about setting a STEAM lab, for example, for their school.
Yeah.
So we can see mindsets slowly changing, but we have to keep pushing on, promoting STEAM education, and hopefully it will make an impact in the local school community. And hopefully with partnerships, like as part of the STEAM Carnival, we have MDAC as well as CelcomDigi being an industry player. Having that partnership would mean collaboration to bring that to the next level, to have more impact, and with the government coming in as well,
right.
MOE or MOSTI, and we can scale the kind of STEAM outreach that we do here in University of Nottingham Malaysia. So having that partnership and ecosystem will, that passion to share knowledge, lifelong learning, and also the approaches that we apply here, and to share that, like how we integrate STEAM here in University of Nottingham Malaysia, and to be able to share that with schools, and hopefully through this interview as well, so we can definitely share what we do here in University of Nottingham, some of the showcases, projects, and hopefully that would trigger more curiosity. And
probably
also,
a chain reaction of more
that's right. That's what we are hoping for.
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely.
that there will be more schools wanting to do STEAM.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all for the betterment of our own future, our own country where we live, making sure that we tackle the big problems like climate change, disruption in AI, for example. So who's to know that, in the future that STEM will no longer be STEM and it's STEAM, and, we can go all out in terms of the support, the funding, scaling it even further.
Yes.
So we're really looking forward to that. Thank you so much to all our esteemed guests here. I'm Fana Sheikh. Thank you for watching.